It's hump day. Happy Wednesday, Live All Good podcast listeners. In this episode of Cruzin with the Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee, we talk about thinking before you act. That way, you don't make rushed decisions and then regret them later. Stay tuned. That conversation is coming up next. Hey folks, this is Lee Grigsby here, health and life coach and founder of Live All Good Coaching. I'll be on the air with Podcast Business News Network, talking about the various things around health and wellness and mental health. Also talking about how mindset is critical to achieving the goals that you set for yourself. You can reach me at liveallgood44@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, liveallgood.com, and fill out the contact form and reach me there. Once again, that's liveallgood.com. Go to the About section, fill out the contact form, or you can reach me at liveallgood44@gmail.com. Hey folks, welcome back from that short break. This is Cruzin with the Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. And
hi, everybody.
As you know, hey, she's here. Hey, Julie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Awesome. Good to catch you again. That is co-host Julie Cruz. I am Coach Lee Grigsby. And how's 2022 been so far? I almost called it 2020. Oh my gosh.
Oh God, no, we won't go back there. Are you kidding me?
We're gonna go backwards. But so far, how's 2022 going for you?
Pretty good.
Nice.
I'm gonna say I can't complain.
Well, we'll try not to complain here. How about that?
That sounds good. Yep.
We won't complain to our listeners. There we go. Nice. Well, today, folks, we want to just we want to help you out a little bit here. Okay. Last episode, I know we were talking about goal setting and how to turn like wishes into goals, right? That's what we kind of covered.
Right.
So I think we want to talk today about actually being aware or recognizing what changes you might have to make before you involve other people, or huge changes. Is that a conversation we can have, Julie?
Yeah. Yes. Like that inner trigger and understanding. I mean, I think it's the new year, and we all kind of go through that space in our heads where we want to be, and it's like, oh, well, so-and-so's doing this and that's brand new, and so-and-so's doing this and that's brand new for them. Like, what do I need to do that's going to be brand new for me? And sometimes I think that those thoughts start to trigger people to make large decisions that aren't necessarily necessary.
Yes.
It's like, hey, maybe you were doing just fine, and so I think understanding what is it that is making you feel that you have to, like the subtle things that you can do to basically, it just, I keep using the word enhance what it is that you're already doing, so that you feel good about it.
Absolutely, because if you take stock of what you're doing and like you step back, right, and you look at it, maybe you're on a good trajectory. Maybe everything is okay, but the actual comparison, like you said, from so-and-so, right? If they're on this other path now, and that could be inspiring to you, right?
Right.
Or, and you see like they're full of excitement and full of, energy with what they're doing. That doesn't mean that that's your path, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so what we're trying to say is before you, jump off that cliff for someone else's path, you got to step back and take a look and see really, is that the jump you want to make at this time?
Right.
Or because it can happen with anything. It can happen with relationships. It can happen with jobs. It can happen with, as a matter of fact, you know what? I've seen this. I've seen a post on social media sometimes where real estate agents talk about this. Okay.
Okay.
So, folks, if you're trying to make this jump into home ownership, okay, then the cliff that you do not need to jump off of is buying a new car or making any big purchases
Right.
while you are trying to buy the house.
Right. Because basically your assets are frozen. Like you can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You can, but it's not going to help you long term.
Because what they're looking at is spending habits. They're looking at your assets, right? To make sure that the home ownership and the cost of the house is something that you'll be able to take care of. But if you're showing signs of random spending or big ticket item spending, right? Those are red flags. And that's why real estate agents tell you, okay, you're in negotiations or you're in the process of getting approved.
Right.
You don't want to raise any red flags at all so that you will be seen as a responsible citizen. You'll be seen as someone who's financially stable.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That is a cliff that you don't want to jump off of. I just happened to see that post, and us talking about this, it really made me think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what we're saying. Step back and look at what you're doing, right? If you see your friends buying a car or your friends, maybe it's not even the time for you to buy a house.
Right.
Maybe that's not the jump that you need to make at the moment. If you haven't looked at your savings, if you haven't looked at your budgeting, if you haven't looked at your spending habits, maybe that's not the move for you at this time.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah, and most people aren't even there. You know what I mean? Like don't buy a house because everyone else is doing it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like if you like where you're at, then stay where you're at. There's no need to don't do it. Just the whole keeping up with the Joneses is just not necessary.
Overrated.
Exactly.
Or if you keep hearing, oh, the interest rates will never be lower and the market is so great. Okay, but maybe that's not great for you.
Right.
Maybe you like renting or whatever your situation is. Just take a step back and see, wait a minute, does that really work for me? And if it does, then stick with it.
Exactly, because maybe that purchasing of a house is what they want to do, but maybe that's 3 vacations for you that you take during the year that they can't take. You see,
absolutely.
Look at it as like, what is it that I'm able to do that whomever can't do, or kind of like that. Like, I don't know. I get so it gets overwhelming with the whole grass is greener because you really know what other people's finances are.
Right. Or you don't even know what someone else's story is, right? What their path is. And I love what you said. The grass being greener always looks greener on the other side.
Right.
But once you get there, that might just be a small patch.
Exactly.
It might be dirt,
Yep.
Or concrete or something that's undeveloped that you have no idea about. It is not always greener on the other side.
Exactly.
Or folks, when we're talking about like we mentioned before, our little housing rant there.
Right.
But this could be the same thing when we're talking about relationships, when we're talking about jobs. You might have coworkers who need to make a change, and that's okay for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, and toxic is a strong word, okay? But if it's not toxic for you, if you are, and I use this generously, but happy, right? If you're okay with where you are, then let your coworker take their path with what their employment needs to be. You
Right.
see,
Right.
because it could be toxic for them, or maybe they need a position that has a different title or more money, or just a different location. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, right?
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily apply to you. So don't get distracted by what they need, and have you again jump off this cliff to a job search or a new job that really is not the right move for you.
Right. Right.
Mhm. Or as we were talking pre-show, um, February 14th is right around the corner. And so there might be people searching for someone to share February 14th with. Or on the other side, there might be people looking to break away
From
from
their current attachment.
be free on that day. I don't know.
Right.
But you don't necessarily break things off, or there's no need to make what's called like knee-jerk reactions, right? If something isn't quite right or isn't working, step back and see, okay, what is working?
Right.
Or maybe I should talk to significant other and see, oh, what are their thoughts? Because everybody kind of gets caught up in day to day and forgets to take stock of things sometimes.
Right, because if you just reevaluate, 'cause that's all it does. Some
Hmm.
half the time it's just a conversation. Like
Hmm.
you might be with your buddy who just got in this new relationship, and she's giving him all these gifts and cooking and blah
Hmm.
blah blah, and then so you're steady sitting there feeling like, well, I remember when my girl used to cook for me, like stuff like that, and it's just
Exactly.
like maybe
Yeah.
it's just a question. I mean, a conversation, and you raise the question like, babe, remember when you
Hmm.
used to cook for me all the time? I really miss the way, I really miss the meals that we used to have
Hmm.
together. And then it's just kind of like, okay, now you've just created a dialogue, and now you can probably, maybe she'll make just as many good meals as your bros, like,
Yeah.
hey, now you could come and to work and talking about, well, she made these ribs and they were this and so I don't know. I think we kind of jump off the cliff because someone else
Yeah.
is embracing something brand new, and it's kind of like, oh, that looks kind of good. But like,
Absolutely. Well, the ribs might be good,
the
but
ribs will
then
probably be good for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's not about comparing. That's
Right.
the hard part to do. It's almost like when people also compare to social media, right?
Mm.
Well,
Oh,
you're going to see the best version on social media because that's what they want to promote.
of course, of course.
You're
Yes.
you're not going to see um, the authentic version. Although, okay, can I take a timeout for a second?
You just tripped yourself up with the authentic word,
Oh,
didn't you?
oh man, listen. Um, oh my gosh, the amount of filters. Oh,
Oh,
oh
yes,
man.
yes.
Like folks, I really want you to not compare yourself to social media.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to browse social media. Fine. It's almost like I was having this conversation with somebody. It's almost like college, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go to college and you can be a party animal, and that's what you're going to get out of college, right?
Right.
You can also go to college and with the intent, you know what, I'm going to soak this up for all the education and opportunities, and that's what you're going to get. Same thing with social media. If you are on social media to purely look at the influencers and whatever else is out there, that's what you're going to find, right?
Right.
But you can use social media in other ways to connect with people
Mm-hmm.
or to get ideas for things. So you get out of it what you put into it. So
Right.
just be careful. I'm stopping myself short from ranting about the filters. You know what? I give the people who create these filters credit because they're creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're clearly being used. But man, that is a form of catfishing that is out of this world.
But like, okay, so to say what you were just talking about, as far as what's being viewed on Facebook or any other social media, again, it goes back to what I was talking about having like dialogue, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I know that I have had conversations with people like, oh my gosh, how do you and your boo do it? Like this, you guys look so happy, you guys travel, you do this and that, and they're like, well, now this is my second marriage. What?
They're like, oh,
yeah. So that's the other thing. Don't make assumptions about things. Don't assume that because things look better on the other side, that it was, number one, easy to get where that person's at, kind of a thing. And so like have that conversation and say, and oh my gosh, what a compliment. What a compliment for you to say to somebody, you know what? You look like you got your stuff together. How do you do this? Because half the time the person is probably like, you know what? Let me tell you. And there is a story. There is probably several stories behind how they are who they are today.
Several stories, several years, and they will be glad to share it with you.
Exactly.
To hopefully stop you from getting over or hitting some of those speed bumps as well.
Exactly.
Man, oh my goodness. Hey, Julie, so why don't we take a break? Sure. And when we come back, I think we can dive a little bit deeper into kind of the process of what folks have to do to look inside before they jump off this cliff we're talking about.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Folks, stay tuned. We will be right back. Hey folks, this is Lee Grigsby here, health and life coach and founder of Live All Good Coaching. I'll be on the air with Podcast Business News Network, talking about the various things around health and wellness and mental health. Also talking about how mindset is critical to achieving the goals that you set for yourself. You can reach me at liveallgood44@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, liveallgood.com, and fill out the contact form and reach me there. Once again, that's liveallgood.com. Go to the About section, fill out the contact form, or you can reach me at liveallgood44@gmail.com. All right, folks. Welcome back from the short break there. This is a Cruzin with the Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. We are talking about what it kind of looks like to just take a step back, not making knee-jerk reactions, not making big moves if you don't have to. Mm-hmm. Is that fair, Julie? Is that a good summary? Yeah. So what we want to do is, dive a little bit deeper into maybe some tools or what it kind of looks like. We mentioned some things in the first segment where we talked about stepping back or awareness, right?
Right.
So when it comes to, say, relationships, or when it comes to that job, that career, you don't force it, right? Mm-hmm. What does it feel like? So many times we get stuck or caught in our own heads, and we come up with this version of what it should be or
Right.
what it looks like.
Right.
And instead, I think one tool that people can really, really rely on is your own intuition, your own
Mm-hmm.
gut, right? So when it comes to relationships, um, I tell my daughter this. I will preach this to anybody, anytime, anywhere. It's not just about men and women, just any relationship you have, period.
Right.
No one is perfect, so no one's words and actions will match up 100% of the time. But when someone is saying X and their actions show Y, X and Y need to be as closely matched as possible.
Correct.
And that's how you know and can trust they are who they say they are.
Right.
If there's a huge gap between what they say and what their actions are, you don't need any other information. You don't need any verification. You don't need to ask anyone. You can use your own intuition to decipher that something does not fit.
Mm-hmm.
Something's not right.
Right.
So that's one way of tapping into your intuition to really understand relationships, you know?
Right.
And I think with relationships, it becomes so clouded in very gray area because, emotions are involved, our brain gets involved, especially if it's a romantic relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you you want to believe that this other person is who you want them to be. you know
Right. But I
you
mean,
know
back to like the idea of, intuitive for yourself.
hmm
If you are in a relationship and you are finding that you are saying something, but you are doing something different,
mm,
then obviously you're not being true as to where your position is or what your role is in that relationship.
hmm
You
that's,
know,
yeah, it works both ways. That
it
is
works
correct.
both ways.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, it's not just about the other person. You have to take stock of what you're doing first
Correct.
because
Correct.
you cannot change someone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really key.
Yeah.
Um, and that's another way to build on the next tool. The next tool is being aware, right?
Hmm.
You literally had a great segue into it. Being aware of what your own actions and words are, right?
Right. Right.
So let's jump away from the relationships and go into what the job situation looks like. Maybe again, we talked about, your coworker is doing something different or they're creating a new career path. Well, become aware of what your actions and thoughts and words are about what you're doing at your job or
Right.
career,
Because
right?
maybe your buddy's not getting the same recognition as you, hence why they're leaving.
hmm or maybe you have become complacent with what you're doing and it just kind of going through the motions.
Hmm.
And so maybe if you change your investment, right? Not money, but your investment as either time or effort into your current career job, maybe that then brings back how you feel about it
Hmm.
in a
Right.
positive way, you
Right.
know? But again, it's really being aware of yourself, being aware of what part you have to play in the situation,
Right.
you know?
Knowing your role is basically, yeah, know your
Mm,
role.
absolutely. Um, is I want to share this real quick. When you're talking about awareness, right? I know that this was several years ago, and my job was going through some structural changes, right? I think we were changing like the way we scheduled shifts and um, the different coverage that we needed, right?
Okay.
And so one of my coworkers had brought up, oh yeah, let's if we put these 3 people on a team, that'd be great. And put these people on a team. And I dreaded that thought because I did not want to be on the team with the people that this coworker suggested.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now it never happened that way, but what happened was I went through a period of like anger, right?
Okay.
Anger, frustration, because certain coworkers had different habits that frustrated me.
Okay.
But it took some other friends and coworkers to kind of point this out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And once they did, they were like, "Yeah, that's not you. You're not typically like that." And it helped me, like we said earlier, it helped me take stock of what my actions were.
Okay.
And what I was putting in. And so I was able to kind of change my thinking, and I didn't let what my coworkers' actions were get to me, because that's what they did and that's what they were doing. I literally put it right back on me and say, you know what? I can't change what they do. I can't make them do anything. But what is it that I want to do?
Okay.
How is it that I want to operate?
Right.
And in taking that frame of mind really helped put me back in a positive mindset for the job. Again, the job itself didn't change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was never toxic or anything like that for me. And I loved what I do.
Okay.
Or loved what I do, not loved. Loved.
And is that, I mean, are you still at that job, or did you eventually leave that job?
I am still
Okay.
at the job.
Okay.
Yes.
See?
I'm still there. So, and that's the thing of how to kind of become aware. And sometimes you need external help to become aware, right?
Right.
But that really changed the process for me. Instead of, being angry with outside forces that you can't control, right?
Right.
I can't control people. And I wasn't like, I'm not the manager or the boss. So okay, we're peers, we're coworkers.
Uh-huh.
But it came down to, okay, what actions do I want to take? What do I want to do? And that's what I started doing. And I did not concern myself with what others did. I also accepted, okay, this is who you are. This is the kind of work you do. That's
Right.
okay. Now I understand it. Now I accept it. And I now know how I can deal with you on that level. You
Right.
see? And that totally changed, it
Your
got rid of
mindset.
that.
It changed your mindset.
Mindset. Got rid of the anger,
because
frustration.
because immediately you go to anger and frustration. I mean, I think that's
Mm.
always the easiest emotion.
Yeah.
And then
It,
it's like, okay, how do I reach understanding? How do I get there? So,
and it's always easy to point the finger outward instead of inward,
right.
Well, if they just did this differently, or if they did, well, no, I can't do that. I pointed the finger. Yeah. After some help, I pointed the finger back at me. What is it? And you know what? This is a key takeaway from this. Is it worth your peace?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Is being frustrated and angry over something that you have no control over, is it worth your peace? And I've now come to the realization that the answer is no. It's not.
Right.
And that goes for, again, job, career, relationship, romantic relationship. Now, the construct within conversations with which you deal with those are different.
Right.
But not worth your peace,
Yeah. I think that's the other thing. You have to think about, what is it that I'm going to do, and like, if I do this, what are the repercussions of it?
Yes. Yeah. You have to be willing to, if it's like, so romantic relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have that conversation about, okay, something's different, let's check in, what's going on, understand that it might be something you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And so you have to be willing to deal with that as well. Now, hopefully you have looked inward before you had this conversation.
Yeah. Because that's what I'm saying. It's like just understanding, okay, I'm looking at my buddy who's got a better relationship and blah, 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 blah. And it's mostly because it's brand new. And then if you're thinking, oh, what if I got into a new relationship? What would that look like? What have you? Then it's like, okay, wait a minute. Let me press pause because I have history with this person. That means I will, I don't know, maybe they have like an awesome dad who you hang out with and, I would lose that relationship. So like, what is it I value in the situation that this disruption just doesn't make sense? So like, Absolutely. How do I have this conversation and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. And, Valentine's is right around the corner and I don't want you to not feel like I'm here.
Right. And actually using Valentine's Day as that new springboard, Right. Hey, folks, we're just telling you that we want some gifts from you guys for Valentine's Day.
Right.
That's what we're really throwing out there. We want some gifts from you guys for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
That should be the homework, right?
I never thought about that, but that would be, if you think about it, and I know with like Ohio, we have Sweetest Day in October. So It's like, how awesome though would that be? Like, that's your check-in time with your relationship. Like if you're putting work, I mean, first of all, you need to be putting work in every day.
Right.
On the holidays.
Not just on the holidays. Exactly.
But like those are actually some really good check-in points because you've got February and then you've got, a pretty decent span after, which would be October. So
good 6-8 months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So long as there's no birthdays or anything in between there.
But that's a great reframe. I never thought about that, right? I love to frame that using those points as check-ins or, reevaluations or what's another good word? Like a reaffirmation of something that's good, I
never thought about it that way.
Yeah. You know what? That's the homework. Great job, Julie. So, you guys, that's the homework, right? You can really start to use, Valentine's Day or Sweetest Day, or use something, pick a day, right? But the homework is start checking in.
Yep, check in.
And then check in with another person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that.
And it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be platonic too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It'd be that relationship where you have that person, your person who you check in with on things that maybe you haven't done it in a while, kind of a thing.
Say, hey, are we good? Right?
Yeah.
How are you doing? What's going on in your life? This is what's going on with me. Oh, I didn't know that. Or absolutely. Just a check in. That's great homework.
Yeah, I like it.
Absolutely. Well, folks, wow, we have reached the end of another episode of Cruzin with the Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. As usual, we thoroughly appreciate you taking some time out on your Wednesday to listen to us and chit chat with us. Please leave us a message if you really found some value or something resonated with you. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep, absolutely.
And you can find every episode on Spotify, on Google, Apple. We're on Amazon. Anywhere you can listen to a podcast, we'll be pretty much able to find us. Until next Wednesday, you guys. We will talk to you then.